This is being spearheaded by Russia, by Kuwait, but who do they need to bring to the table? Who keeps oversupplying?
Well, I mean, the real culprits in this are predominantly Iraq. Interestingly, the United Arab Emirates itself, which is where the meeting's being held, and then Venezuela is probably the third. But I don't think we should expect too much from this meeting. I mean, this is not a ministerial meeting, so the oil ministers themselves aren't there. It's representatives. It's much more of a technical meeting. It's one of a series of monthly meetings that OPEC has to monitor this agreement. So they will be looking, I think, at issues around why these countries aren't complying and perhaps what can be done to encourage them to comply a little bit more.
Is there a sweet spot that you think potentially OPEC wants to see oil get to? I mean, it's invariably not managing to push itself above the $50 mark, but the minute $50 comes into the equation, does the US just turn on the taps again?
Well, I think this is OPEC's big problem, that once you get to $50 a barrel, this is a level at which a lot of the shale producers are starting to hedge their forward production. That means they're then in a position to lock in future output growth. They start putting a little more money into drilling more wells, and those come on stream quite quickly. So this is extraordinarily difficult for OPEC, and it's not made any easier by the fact that compliance with their own agreement is starting to slip a little bit.
Julian, you say that they're getting together over there in Abu Dhabi to figure out why they're not complying with the production cuts. Isn't it pretty simple? Aren't they just cheating? And if they are just cheating, how can this technical agreement make any progress on that?
Well, yes, I mean, ultimately they are. You know, several countries are just cheating. The question is, you know, that they're trying to address is why, what can they do to persuade these countries, what pressure can they put on countries like Iraq to cut back their production a little bit more. I think it's extraordinarily difficult for them. I mean, Iraq said right at the very beginning, back last November when the deal was done, that they objected to the secondary source estimates of their production. They felt everybody was underestimating their production, so their starting point was too low. They also said they felt they ought to be given an exemption like Libya and Nigeria because of the war they were fighting against Islamic insurgents in the north of the country. So I think this is really difficult. And they're trying to find a way around this, and one way may be trying to measure exports rather than production, which is something they rejected back in November when it was suggested. And I think it does show that they are really running up against difficulty with 3 or 4 countries that aren't complying with this agreement as much as others.